So hello everyone, welcome you all to this new video. So from this video onwards, we are going to be starting with the concepts related to module 3. Okay. So the name of the module is flip-flops and its applications. Okay. So this is a very lengthy and a vast module which where we are going to be discussing with a lot of concepts related to the sequential circuits, types of flip-flops, master slave SR, JK flip-flop, and the characteristic equations of different flip-flops, that is SR, JK, T flip-flop and D flip-flop. Then along with the excitation tables and some of the important registers, shift registers, counters, uh, along with that design of synchronous counters. These are the things which we are going to be discussing in this module. Okay, so one by one we are going to be doing the videos on each of the concepts. So please, your job is to watch all of these videos, around 7 to 8 videos I would be uploading from this module. Please don't skip any videos, guys. All of them would be very useful for you guys. Okay, so let us start from this module, that is introduction part to sequential circuit. Okay, because before knowing the concept of flip flop, you need to be knowing that the flip flops come under sequential circuits. Okay, you need to be knowing first what is sequential circuit. So these things are not required, because this we have already studied what do you mean by combinational and sequential circuits, and how it consists of present and previous state inputs. In module 1 only we have seen it. Okay, we'll directly start from the concept of sequential circuit here. Okay, yeah. So let us see that what do you mean by sequential circuit. A sequential circuit refers to a special type of circuit. It consists of series of various inputs and outputs. Here, the outputs depend on the combination of both present inputs as well as the previous inputs. Okay, this definition I hope you might be knowing till now, because in module 1 also we have discussed that the outputs depend on the combination of both present inputs as well as previous state inputs. Okay, it consists of a memory stage. So this previous output gets treated in the form of present state. Thus the sequential circuit consists of the combinational circuit along with its memory storage elements. Okay, so it is a part where sequential circuit consists combinational circuits, but that memory of that circuit would be attained by the sequential circuit. Okay, it doesn't need to consist of a combinational circuit of all type. That is, a sequential circuit can basically contain only the memory elements. Okay, it is not required of the complete combinational circuit, but the memory of that circuit is required for the building part. Okay, so these are some of the types of sequential circuits. Okay, basically generally there are two types. One is asynchronous circuits and synchronous circuits. Okay, what do you mean by asynchronous sequential circuit? You see here, the asynchronous sequential circuit don't make use of the clock signals. It does not consist of clock signals. Okay, this type of circuit is operated through various pulses. Okay, the pulses are the different time intervals which is required for each stage of input combinations. Okay, thus the changes in our input can easily make change in the state of the circuit. Okay, so that's why the input changes, whenever you make changes in the input, right, it would be completely changing the state of the circuit. Okay, the clock pulses are not used in the case of asynchronous circuits. Here the internal state gets altered whenever there is a change in the input variable. Okay, as I've told you, but during the change in the input variable, the internal structure and the internal state of the circuit would be changing with respect to the changes in the input. Okay, the time delayed or the unclocked flip flops form the memory elements of the asynchronous sequential circuits. This type of circuit is very similar to that of combinational circuit along with feedback. Okay, some of the examples are latch circuits, because in asynchronous circuits it doesn't contain clock. It is similar to the latch, right? For example, SR latch, JK latch. These could be the examples for asynchronous sequential circuits. Okay, now let us see what do you mean by synchronous sequential circuits. The clock signal performs the synchronization of the state of the memory elements in the case of synchronous sequential circuit. Okay, here in this circuit it contains of a clock signals. Okay, so some of the examples for this are SR flip flop, JK flip flop, T flip flop, D flip flops. Okay, so these are meant by synchronous sequential circuits. Now let's see the concept of clock signal and triggering. Okay, this is very important. The clock signal refers to a periodic signal where the on and off times do not need to be the same. Okay, basically the clock signal keeps the track of the pulses, whether it is on or off, whether it is low or high state, but it do not need the same, because the clock signal won't be depending on the pulses. Okay, so that's why it is independent of whatever the values of pulses are. Thus, whenever the on and off times of the clock signal happen to be the same, we use a square wave to represent the clock signal. Okay, here is a diagram that represents the typical clock signal, so that is given down. Yeah, remember that a clock signal is often considered to be the square wave. So because the clock signal is simply given like this, right? So that's why you could be calling it as a square wave, okay, which consists of pulses of zeros and ones. Okay, one is low and high. It won't be consisting of the discrete signal. It is a continuous signal which has the fixed values. Okay, it is either 5 volt high or 0 volt low, for example, to an equal share of time. It is basically gets repeated with a certain time which is equal to twice the off time or on time. So let us know more about triggering now. So there are basically two types of triggering under sequential circuits which are very important. One is called as level triggering and another one is called as edge triggering. Okay. Let us see now one by one what do you mean by level triggering and edge triggering. First is level triggering. There are two levels present in the clock signal. One is logic low and logic high. Okay. As I've told you, this is the basic clock signal and the two levels are logic low and logic high. Okay. Logic high is the upward square wave and this is the downward square wave. Okay, so these are the logic low and high signals. The circuit is only activated in the case of level triggering whenever the clock pulse happens to be at any particular level. Thus, there are the following types of level triggering in a sequential circuits. Okay, so the types of level triggering are: one is positive level triggering and negative level triggering. Okay, so how the level triggering is done, you see here how the this positive level triggering is shown here, you see. Okay, in the case of positive level triggering, the signals with logic high would occur. Thus in this type of triggering, the circuit gets operated with such a type of clock signal. Here is a diagrammatic representation. So as I've told you, this is a square wave and the positive levels, that is the high levels, these are the high levels which are called, and these are called as positive level triggering. Okay, so the for the level triggering, either it is high or low. For higher values of amplitude, positive level triggering occurs, whereas in negative level triggering it is the lower values or amplitude, all the low level triggering. Okay, so these are the two level triggering, one is positive level and negative level. Hope it is clear. That is it. You see here, in case of negative level triggering, a signal occurs when logic low. Okay, logic low, these shades are mentioned here, and for logic high, these shades are mentioned. So hope this is clear. Now one more kind is edge triggering. Okay, this is also very important. You see here, there are two major type of transitions which occur in the case of edge triggering in clock signals. This transition either occurs in from logic high to logic low or from logic low to logic high. Okay. So with respect to that, we are having again two types with respect to the clock signal. One is called as positive edge triggering and negative edge triggering. Okay, positive edge triggering takes place when the signal goes from logic low to logic high. Okay, so you see here in the diagram, you could be seeing clearly these are the edges basically. Okay, so these lines you see, right, these are the edges. Okay, and these lines you see, right, these are the levels. Okay, hope this is clear, what are levels and what are edges, right? So yeah, so here in case of positive edge, it goes from low to high state. That is, initially if it is 0, it goes from 0 to 5, right? So that's why you could be seeing a increment. So that's why it is called as positive level triggering. Okay, so these are the positive, sorry, positive edge triggering. Okay, now negative edge triggering from high to low, that is logic high to logic low. From it, initially it is in the high state, that is 5, it gets dropped to 0. Okay, from 5 to 0, so that's why it is getting decremented. So that's why this is called as negative edge triggering. Okay, so hope this is clear what you mean by positive edge and negative edge triggering. Okay, so this was all about the triggering concept. Hope this is clear. Yeah, so that's all for this video, guys. This was nothing but the introduction part which is required to be understanding the concepts of flip-flops. Okay, because if you don't understand this triggering concept, you cannot be understanding the timing diagrams which we are going to be discussing in the flip-flops. Okay, so yeah, that's all for this video, guys. From the next video onwards, the actual concept starts related to flip-flops and its types. Okay, yeah, so that's all for this video, guys. Thank you.